You are now listening to Femme Regard podcast with Tessa Markle
and Carolina Alvarez.
Femme.
Hi, fam. Welcome. This is our new intro. I'm starting it today. I feel like it.
Mixing it up.
Mixing it up. Yeah, no, we welcome back, guys. It's just another hot freaking day in LA. We're just talking about it's been a heat wave. It's been 90 degrees. I know all of y'all who are everywhere else are like, oh, shut up. It's already like 30 degrees where I'm at. But no, guys, like the heat can get very tiring and we're kind of tired of it right now. It's been too much. But moving on to the more important thing is our guest is Ms. Judy Jean Kwon. Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Hi. Thank you. She is, we were just talking about how we got introduced to her and we got an email stating Judy's recent YouTube comedy series and they attached a teaser trailer. We loved the diversity of women that's included in your project and just like the tackling moms and different groups of women and cultures here in Venice. We'll get into all of what the show's about, but we love what you're doing. We love what you stand for, and we cannot wait to talk to you about all that. So you grew up in a Korean American video store. That is kind of really cool. And I can imagine what sparked your love for film. And so, yeah, you started out as an Asian American actor. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, I mean, I've naturally, growing up in LA, and I knew I wanted to do something creative, and I was actually a musician before I got into acting. And then once I've transitioned into acting, I'm, being a Korean American actor back in those days. I guess I'm aging myself now. Was kind of different from what it is now. I think now it's actually opened up a bit more, and it's there's more diversity and more interesting and nuanced roles for Asian Americans. But when I started, the roles were prostitute, liquor store owner, immigrant.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much covers it. So I had to do a lot of accent, which
sounds like dream roles. Oh my gosh.
It's very different, being a liquor store owner and a prostitute.
Right.
So at least now there's more nuanced roles, and there's roles where they Asian Americans could play actual Americans now, which is kind of cool. Yeah, but back then it was pretty much very stereotyped and pegged into just that generalization. Yeah.
So is that kind of what inspired you to create, this series and your own content, like to create those roles that you wanted to play? Or were you more just like, I just want to be a filmmaker?
Well, I mean, like I said, like you guys just said, that I grew up in a video store. I've always storytelling is what I always wanted to do. And that's what I do. I'm a storyteller. So, just because I'm a storyteller, and actually when I started writing it, I was writing the character that I ended up playing, Pepper, as a white woman.
Okay.
Because it seems to me like all of us subconsciously think like the leads are a white female for some reason, or at least I thought it was. And then also writing to a white audience, which was weird. I'm like, why am I writing to some imaginary audience? And then when I realized it, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to write what I want to see, So then that's how that came about, that project. And then, they say write about your experience, kind of like what you know. And at the time, with the whole gentrification thing happening, I lived in Venice. And so I saw all this crazy moms doing crazy stuff. And I'm like, okay, there could be a little comedy in this. So then that's how that took off. Yeah.
Nice. I love that. It's so like for our listeners that aren't here in LA, the people you see doing the craziest stuff, like if you think it's weird for like someone to be pushing their dog in a stroller, you have not seen anything yet. So I love that your show really highlights that. And it's, it shows the moms doing that stuff. And then it shows the other moms that are like, what the fuck, So yeah, I love that you like call that out.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just kind of funny too. So I'm like, there could be so much comedy in that, and it's just, and also I wanted to focus on funny women, and women's, just the diversity with the different kinds of women and intersectionality. Like we were talking earlier in LA, there's so much diversity here, yet I see everybody's in their little bubbles and they don't really mix, So then I wanted to kind of show that intersectionality and how different people's lives are all in the same area, So that's how that came about. And, so, oh, we'll see. There's a lot, especially when you put all of them together and they clash. That's really what I was interested in seeing.
Yeah.
Because what you think is normal might not be normal for somebody else.
I feel like that's where like the comedic commentary comes into play, is like the other moms like commenting on what the other moms are doing. And like, I feel like a lot of times in LA, we were just talking about this, was like, there's all these little bubbles, and because it's such a big city, it's funny to see the other characters from diverse groups and backgrounds interact and either poke fun at each other, or I just love the different personalities really coming together. Who did you really want to focus on in these groups of women? What diverse groups were you really pulling?
Well, I mean, because the lead character that I end up playing is Pepper, and her best friends are actually Chicanas, which, in LA, in Venice Beach, actually, I know the Chicanos were there before all these, new moms came into the picture. And even before that was actually African Americans. They were there a long time, like probably since I mean, don't quote me on the year, but a long time, probably years plus. So like having them actually, so they're the main focus kind of. Pepper is the main focus. She kind of threads the needle between all these different groups of people. And they're gonna, I mean, if I do have future seasons on it, I mean, I have like a whole agenda of getting them all like, smashed into each other, that kind of stuff, yeah, so the Chicana family is the main best friends of Pepper, and they're basically the ones that's been there for generations, and they're the ones getting pushed out because of what's happening, because when gentrification happens, prices go up, and they can't afford to live there anymore, and they get pushed out.
Yeah. I mean, again, people even that don't live in LA, anyone that lives in a big city knows what gentrification is all about. Whether you're in that neighborhood that's getting gentrified, has already been, or wherever you are, like, you see the effects of it in your city for sure.
Yeah. It's called everything goes up in price.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And then I love like the yoga moms that you have too in there, or like, it's like it's totally a stereotypical like LA mom where I'm all for it. Go ahead, look fabulous, do your like yoga thing. But I think LA definitely tends to take it to like an extra level sometimes. And I think it's like hilarious what you've got going on there. And I have to say, I love by the way, the teaser trailer, like, I'm all into reggaeton, so I think it's really like awesome. I thought it was a very comedic song to use because again, it has the Chicano like, vibe to it too. So I love that. I love that.
Are you a podcaster like us? Vlogger? Interview conductor? Do you need a VO booth or ADR? Remote audio video professional recording?
Ooh, Tessa, spilled the tea.
Well, the Network Studios in Culver City is a fully functional recording oasis with multiple rooms made to cater specifically to audio podcasts, video interviews, and voiceover, plus an experienced sound engineer with the ability to edit and master. All your needs will be covered.
Audio engineer extraordinaire Mike Casentini has worked with several podcast heavy hitters and got us started from the ground up. He's the reason we sound so good. Plus, all of our in-studio guests have been very impressed.
To find out more, visit www.thenetworkstudios.com and book your next recording session. COVID compliant and open for business.
But Judy, talk to us a little bit about your process of, so we talked about like why you created the project and how you came up with it. So talk to us a little bit about the actual creation of the project, like how you got everyone involved and, you know, were you just spending money out of your own pocket to do it? What was your crew like? Just all that, you know, kind of almost technical stuff behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of, you know, spending your own money, a lot of begging, asking for favors. You know how that goes. It's a lot of work.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, being an independent filmmaker is really tough, not having like a big studio money behind you, because you end up having to do a lot of the jobs. So I just feel like there's not enough time in the day to do all of it.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful because my husband, he's also a DP and a director. So he co-directed it with me, and we directed it together. So the process started with, I guess, after the script was written, we went and casted. And that I ended up doing also myself, where, you know, you go through the whole casting process, you see everybody and blah, blah, blah. And we were really lucky that we found these actors, and they were really, really funny and great, because I know, like, especially the hardest part to cast was Giselle, which she's the mom. And a lot of the French actors would come in and be very melodramatic. I was like, comedy, you know, this is not the French New Wave. You're not in, you know, Francois Truffaut's
right.
comedy. She was very hard to cast. So after casting, then, you know, it's just everything. We're also lucky to have had Anton Lanes, which is our good friend and producer, just, you know, really, really helped a lot with just managing everything, especially during production, because we've had a pretty large cast, and so because it's you know, all these different intersectionality of different groups, we have so much people, like so much cast, that just managing that was hard. And then we had a lot of locations too, because they're all live in different places. So a lot of begging, and then
No, I love how honest you are about that. I think there's a way to do it. We've talked about on the show on how to like politely ask for favors and how you approach someone. And I'm sure, you know, people trust you based on who you are as a person. And yeah, sometimes I mean, spill the tea on that, please. Like it's not easy, I'm sure, but we all do it at to some point in our careers, or how we get started, you know, with a project. Even it might come from, you know, asking for those favors, and then if it blows up, you know, there's always a way to return too, you know, like if, you know, you're that kind of person, which I assume you definitely are, and like want to help, always, you know, find a way to give back.
Yeah, and then we were actually also union. We had to go through that whole SAG. So we had to go through all that paperwork, and just all the logistics. It was complicated, and all the location, just, you know, making sure that each location is different, right? Because it's owned by different people, so they're all particular. So even just figuring that out. Yeah, okay. But I mean, to me, the whole doing the production and actually shooting was the easiest part, because I was thinking, man, this is gonna be, once we finish shooting it and it's in the can, it's gonna be, you know, all like roses and stuff. But actually, it's the aftermath that's the hardest.
Post-production is a lot of work.
Post-production was hard, but I'm talking even beyond that. I'm talking about the business part of trying to sell your project. But post-production did get harder for us, because before, when we're in production, even though you're wrangling a lot of people, we were used to doing production, so that's easy. Not easy, but I mean, it was easier comparatively, because you're not really bound by one person, you know. It's a big cast and crew, so I mean, they all had to work with each other, and for some reason we got really lucky. We didn't really have a lot of problems. You know, there's always fires to put out, but nothing major. And production went pretty smooth. I think the hardest thing was the baby, because, you know, babies, you could only have them for a few hours at a time, and it's really hard to work around that. But when it became post-production, you're bound by the one editor or the one sound designer and their schedule. And we were getting pushed around, and I just got to a point where I actually had to sit down. I edited the show myself.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how that happened.
So then after, you were saying like the business part of it after post-production was really tough, like selling your show and everything. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit more about that. Cause it's, with a web series, it's like, well, I can just, throw it up on YouTube and hope it gets a lot of views, or you can really market it and really try to monetize it. And, it's like with web series, there's so many different things you can do because there's no like black and white traditional way to go because it's a new thing. So yeah, talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, my original intention was this show, I was looking towards Quibi. I wanted to really get it in front of Quibi, but I couldn't even get in the door to even pitch it to them, because the whole thing with after the fact of making your film or whatever it is the web series, whatever you want to call it, is after it's all done and in the can, it's all about connections after that. So it becomes really difficult, especially if you don't have family or like friends that are related, and not even having friends, because I have friends, but that actually wants to help you, get it in the door, So yeah, it just became that's like a whole nother thing. Like as an artist, you don't think about, you just, hey, I'm gonna make this thing, and then it's finished, it's packaged, now it's ready to go. But then you realize you have to have like agents, but not just regular agents and managers. They have to have connections. It's all about connections, which is kind of messed up for us, for artists, because it's like, okay, so I guess as artists we can't really express our voice, and get it heard, because that's the point that's to me the most important, is not just making it, but getting it heard, once you've made it, is nearly impossible if you don't really have that connections or get really lucky. And I see a lot of filmmakers where they make their film and then they just disappear, because of this situation and this problem that I guess a lot of people don't want to talk about, but I don't know, I'm sure they do talk about it, but I don't really hear it that often. But yeah, to me, it's a kind of a big problem of why you're not getting as much diverse stories, because there's not equal opportunity, should I say.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like, even just like when it comes to figuring out your budget in the very beginning of like pre-production, like you've got to think about that marketing at the very end too, because you have to spend money on that, especially if you don't have connections. And yeah, I mean, how many of us know, people at studio level, like it's not easy. You've got to work the connections you do have. But yeah, even so, it's really tough. And Quibi was something we had looked into when we very first, heard rumors about it. And then we were like, oh, so Steven Spielberg has, a show that's going to be on Quibi. So maybe it's not what we thought it's going to be. And I mean, Quibi kind of flopped in the end anyway, so I guess it worked out.
Yeah, I think we were all hoping that. I think all of us independent filmmakers, we were all like, oh, Quibi, that's awesome. He's going to like do, or, this and that. And Whitman and both of them, that you were like, oh yeah, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And then you start seeing the names coming out of it for these short web series. And it's like they're paying millions and millions of dollars to these, really, well-known actors and directors. And you're like, oh, okay, this is the Hollywood system again, which
exactly
was a little disappointing, So I don't know.
No, totally.
Oh.
So let our listeners know too. I don't know if we I just realized, ever mentioned the title of your show. So it is MILFriend, like the F spells out friend. Let our listeners know where they can find you. Do they just search that on YouTube? And do you have other stuff up on YouTube also that they can watch?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's under, if you go into the little box where you put the, whatever you're searching for, if you Yo Mama Rice, it should pop up. YOMAMARICE. And all the URL would be www.youtube, / Yo Mama Rice Does Not Cook. That's our platform to launch this show. And I have another show on there called Heal by Create, which I kind of did. It's more interviews that I did, where I interview creatives and healers. And what we do is we talk about stress, PTSD, and anxiety, and we make some stuff with our hands, because I feel like creating something with your hands and just creating stuff is one way to minimize anxiety and stress and all that great stuff. So I actually like interview a bunch of different people who some of them suffer from it, or some of them are therapists, that kind of stuff. And you get to see most of the episodes we make some cool stuff.
That's awesome. I love that. And I think you're so right. Like creating something with your hands, like I'm not a crafty kind of person, but like when I'm feeling stressed out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put a movie on and I'm going to color. Like just doing something creative physically, like it really is a stress reliever for sure.
Yeah. Even this, I mean, like even making MILFriend or making films, filmmaking, all this stuff, we're creators, we're creative, you know. It's, to me, it's just getting it all out. Whatever is inside you, just getting it out. And I think the whole process is just healing. I learned a lot through this whole journey of doing MILFriend. And I wouldn't take it back, so. Yeah.
Is it going to be an ongoing project for you, or?
It depends. I mean, this first season, it was pretty much out of pocket and all begging. If somebody comes with me with funding, yes, because I have, multiple seasons that I want to make out of it. But yeah, not out of my pocket
anymore. Understandable.
I'd like to at least break even,
When is the first episode going to air?
It already aired on Thursday, episode 1 and 2. And then episode 3 and 4 is going to air next Thursday. And then after that, we're going to do one episode every Thursday. So every week until we release all 10. Yeah.
Perfect. So listeners, we're recording this a little earlier than you're going to hear it. So there'll be a few episodes out already by the time you guys listen to this episode. So jump on that train. That's really exciting. And if you guys, like I said, if you haven't watched a trailer yet, start with that so you can get a taste. Like I'm so excited to actually watch these episodes.
I'm also on Facebook, facebook.com/YoMamaRice.
Perfect.
Yeah, if you just think I'm a mom and I like rice, then,
Love it. I love that.
I love that. That was also on your IMDb as your nickname. And I was like, I love that.
Well, I'm trying to take that whole Yo Mama jokes and just turn it around,
Yeah. Own it. Totally. Awesome.
Yeah. And I love that your show stands for Mom I Like to Friend. So again, you're taking a spin-off of something that's a little derogatory, but it's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Judy, for coming on today. I'm so excited to watch your show. Listeners, I hope you guys watch as well. And like, just being honest with us about, the whole process, like, yeah, sometimes you got to beg for favors and because we can totally relate to that. And I think a lot of our listeners can too. So it's always inspiring to like see what comes out of it and see that finished product and like how funny and good it's going to be. And like to see where that came from, and how you got it made. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much, Carolina and Tess. I really appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to talk about my show, and hopefully you guys will all like it and go and watch it and then share with everybody else. And
absolutely.
So I don't have to beg next time.
Thanks for listening to Femme Regard Podcast. If you like what you hear, tune in next time for more tips on the filmmaking business and insightful conversations with industry professionals over tea. We can only grow with your support, so please subscribe, share, rate, and give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. If you leave us a great comment, we might give you a shout out on the show. For more on us, check us out at femregard.com.